let's revisit paper tubes. What do you think? I have this idea that for Christmas I want to try to decorate my tree in ornaments made out of paper tubes. One of the reasons for that is because I have a lot of them. This box is full. It's a copy paper box, and it is full of paper tubes. Yeah, there's a few in there. Those are made from the inserts that come in your Sunday paper, you know, the sales circulars. And I also have some, these, that were made from book pages of old textbooks. And these are the ones that I have been using. I wanted to try to use a lot of them up first. And I've been fashioning them into just really very bizarre ornaments. These have several of these because, you know, they're really easy to do. Got those in a few different sizes. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but you tie a string around it, call it an ornament. There you go. I've got that little sort of flower looking thing. I've got this one, and I've got this kind of alien spaceship Diwali that I love, and I'm going to make some more like this because it's just so fabulously bizarre. But this is what I have been doing lately. I'm going to show you how to do this. It's not hard, and most, you know, may already know this, but I'm going to revisit it from the beginning for those who may not be familiar with how to make these paper tubes. What you need is strips of paper. I tend to use my strips about anywhere from 2 to 4 inches wide. It just kind of depends on the paper and my mood for the day, but anywhere between 2 to 4 inches is about good. These are right about 3 inches, and they work just fine. And it was just a regular book page that was, I don't know how big, probably 8.5 by 11. So I bet I cut the pages into thirds. You start with your piece of paper. It doesn't have to be cut perfectly. That doesn't matter. And you're going to need a skewer or a stick of some sort. I use this wooden skewer like this. You can use a knitting needle. You can use a dowel. You can use anything shaped like this. This is about a size 8 knitting needle, and that's about right for the size tube that I want. But you can use bigger, you can use smaller. It's going to affect the size of your tube, but you know, you can work with whatever you do. In fact, I'm going to, when I get around to it, I'm going to experiment with using a much skinnier skewer and make some little skinny tubes, because I've been seeing all these videos where these ladies are doing some awesome weaving with some really skinny tubes, and I'm tempted. So I'll try that one of these days. So you need your skewer, you need your strip of paper. It does need to be fairly thin. It doesn't necessarily have to be tissue paper thin, but you don't need a real heavy, high quality paper. Just, you know, newsprint type paper. This was out of a textbook, and thin is good. Otherwise, if you use a nice thick paper, your tubes become really hard to coil later on. It causes a problem. So you want thin, cheesy paper. You take your little strip of paper and your skewer, you lay it down, not necessarily at a, you know, right angle there. I did this in the last video that I did on this too, and I don't know what that triangle's called, but you want it angled like that, not so much like that. You could roll it up angled like this, but you're going to get a shorter, you're going to get this size of a tube if you start rolling like this. If you angle it like that and roll that way, you're going to get a significantly longer tube. You see? So just that little bit of an angle can affect how long your tubes are. This is usually not an issue unless you're wanting to coil these into spirals that are all exactly the same size. If you want to do that, then you want your tubes to be all exactly the same size. But otherwise, it's not really an issue. That's sort of just an FYI thing. So, start in one corner, pull this up, start rolling, hold it tight as you go. When you get to the end, just put a little dab of glue right there and roll it up tight. Now you want to use a glue that is that doesn't dry sticky, because you're going to get it on the outside here. Elmer's is a good glue for this. Just plain old Elmer's or a PVA or any kind of a decoupage medium like Mod Podge. Any regular white glue is good. You don't need anything fancy there. What I'm using, I'm using this bottle of Aline Stop Fraying. The reason is because I found 2 bottles in my glue cabinet. I barely have a need for one. Okay, one will last me forever because I don't do a lot with fabric. Why I got 2? I don't know. Clearly there was a sale somewhere at some point. So anyway, I'm using this, and you know what? It works just fine as a paper glue. Who knew? So, there you go. Now you are going to want to roll up about 1 million of these, because that's what it's going to take to make any sort of a project. So, start rolling. You can do this on a little tray in your lap while you watch TV. You know, it's mindless. You don't have to put a lot of thought into it. And once you get into the groove, I found that I can make about 150 of these in an hour. And that's without even trying to hurry. That's just, you know, watching TV. So it goes fast, which is a good thing because you do need a lot of them. Once you roll up about 1 million of them, depending on what you're going to do with them, you might want to flatten them. And we are going to want to flatten them for what we're doing. These are already flattened. And you can do this any way you like. You can use your finger to flatten them. You can run them along the edge of your table to flatten them. You can go over them with a rolling pin. You can iron them. My personal favorite way is to run them through my pasta machine. I don't think you can see it over here, but I've got one of those silver crank pasta machines, and it just flattens them right out. I can do a handful at a time. So, flatten them in your preferred way to flatten. They are a little easier to work with if you flatten them before you start coiling and putting them together. So there's that. Once you've got your little flattened pieces, then you want to start coiling them into circles for these particular projects I'm going to show you. I've got a bowl full of circles here. Some of them are typical rolled paper coils. You know, these are the little kind you can make a bowl out of if it's bigger. I've got those in a couple different sizes, even teeny ones. And to get bigger sizes, you just link more tubes together. I'll show you this. These hollow ones, like this, those you are made by just wrapping the tube around something, and I use this bottle of nail polish because it's not tapered, you know, it's straight. So this one was wrapped around the bottle part. This one was wrapped around the handle. So there's how you make the different kinds of tube, or different kinds of circles and coils. And let's do one right quick. let's do a, tell you what, let's do a coily uppy one. Okay, I'm going to link some of these together, and what I usually do is glue them end to end, and when you roll them up, it's just natural for one end of the tube to come out a little bit smaller than the other. I don't know why, it's just something that happens when you roll them up, and that's okay. That's actually good because that makes them much easier to link together, because you will find that, you know, every one of them has one small end, one big end, so you just cram the small end into the big end, and there you go. So, there's 3 put together. Now this is going to make a small coil, probably about like that. I don't remember how many that had in it, but probably about like that. And what I do to get these started, you can use anything you want in the middle, like a little skewer or dowel, a toothpick, a pokey tool, whatever you want, and just start rolling. You know, kind of like making a paper bead. You just start rolling it around the whatever skinny thing you've chosen. And then once you get it started good where you can hold on to it, I usually just ditch the paper clip and continue to roll. I have very weak hands, so this is a little bit hard for me. I struggle with it, which is why I have a lot of these hollow ones. They're much easier on my little hands. So if you have arthritis or any kind of a hand or wrist issues, this coiling like this, I will warn you, it might be difficult for you, if not impossible. That doesn't mean that you can't do this. Even with my hand and wrist issues, I don't have any problem rolling the tubes. That doesn't hurt me at all because I don't have to hold on to anything really tight. It's very loose, you know, this action, rolling, and not a lot of gripping. So it doesn't bother me at all, but this coiling thing does. So I'll just take it slow and easy and try not to overdo. Pull it tight and then glue the end down. Just like that. There you have your little coil. And if you link more tubes together, you get a bigger coil. But for what we're doing, you know, we don't need any huge ones. So there's that. Now for these hollow ones, like these are real simple, and I've just been using one tube for them. And just hold it around the bottle like that. See, this is much more comfortable on my little hands. And there you go. A little one. And there we go. You can, you know, kick this up a notch and decorate these tubes. You can paint them, you can doodle on them. I've done some where I've doodled on them before I roll them up. You know, you can use markers or paint or whatever. So, you know, if you want to do that to them and make them a little fancier, you can. But what I really want this year is just the natural pattern of the pages to show. So I'm not going to do anything fancy other than seal them. And I'll show you what that's all about. Okay, I've got some here that I've been working on. Got these two. And I started gluing them together with Helmar, and then I decided that wasn't a very smart thing to do because I dropped one and it came apart. I think it's just too flexible. So I would really recommend that you use maybe hot glue to glue your little things on, because I have a feeling that's going to hold better. I am going to heat these in the oven, which is going to melt the hot glue, but as long as I don't move them, you know, as long as they stay still till they cool off, it'll be fine. So I just lay my little circles out in some kind of shape, and I usually just dump them out and then just start playing and, you know, see what I come up with. And I really don't have a shape in mind, just, you know, whatever. When I find a shape that I like, then I just use a little dab of glue to glue them together. And then I got to start my oven now. After you get them all glued together, then you can put a sealer over them to make them nice and sturdy. If you'll notice on these that I did, they are really hard. I mean, you can just squeeze all day long and not flatten that thing. They are very hard. They've got a little bit of a glossy sheen on them, which I like. And I got that by just coating them with a varnish. Now sometimes I will go in first and use some diluted glue to I can't finish the sentence. Glue them together, hold them together. Let's do that with these. Maybe I will have better luck with the glue not falling apart if I glue them before I varnish them. Those that I just showed you, I did not put any Elmers on. I just went straight to the varnish, but let's do these this way and see if they're any sturdier. This is diluted Elmer's. Just add a little water until it's about the consistency of heavy cream. And I'm just going to paint this on front and back and sides. Kind of make sure it soaks down in there. Okay. Give it a good coat. We'll set this aside to dry. And look on something else. Let's see. And while they're doing their thing, let's do this. I took 3 of my you know, little circles. I glued them together. I used Helmar, which is determined is probably not smart. So I'm going to put just a little bit of hot glue there, just cause. Okay. And then I had these little ones that fit just perfect in there. So, yeah, what I want to do is I'm going to put some glue on these so that they'll hold their shape before I stick them in there permanently. So, I'm going to shape them like I want them. They're the same, not exactly, but close enough. There we go. Okay, now glue. Inside and out with the watered down Elmers. Nothing's ready. This will hold their shape. Okay, let those dry. So I had those coming out here, right? And then I thought I would put these 2 here, you know, one on the top and one on the bottom. So I'm going to shape these. Sometimes you can take your little skewer and help you poke out the top there, so it's pointy. And it's okay if you giggle the whole time because all you can think about are boobs. I'm right there with you. I don't know why. You know, it's just childish and ridiculous, but they're boobs. I'm sorry. They really are. What you gonna do? Oh well. We'll just keep that our little secret, okay? Alright. I'm not looking for perfection, but I do want the two of them to kind of be the same. You know, don't all we girls really wish that they were both the same? And are they ever? No, they're not. Now, glue is for this reason that I try to avoid putting like a little bead or something right there, because you just naturally you want to, because it's there, but no, it makes it worse. It really does. Yeah. Okay. Let that dry. I'm just going to go ahead and slap some on these just cause. Now I do want to make another one like that really big spaceship looking one, but I don't have another ball like I used, and I'm not sure what I used. It was covered in tissue paper, so it might have been just a handmade, you know, wrinkled up paper ball. I don't know, but I've got some styrofoam balls, you know, these, and Jason ordered a belt from Brighton recently because his other belt wore out and he wanted a good belt. So ordered from Brighton. The first one he ordered was the same size as all his other belts, and he got it and it was like 4 inches too short, which was really strange. So he sent it back, got another one, which I was really excited about. I'm glad that the first one didn't work, because when you order from Brighton, even if you order like a man belt, it comes in this lovely sturdy box with roses on the lid, and you open it up and they sent him a little personalized card that says, "Hello Jason, we're sorry that, you know, your other one didn't work out. Hope this one does, blah blah blah." And then inside, his belt was wrapped in this lovely tissue paper with this big pink organza bow, just like that. So I'm just very excited about the packaging, and I think I'm going to use some of this packaging on my ball here, just to cover. I want the styrofoam covered because, you know, it's styrofoam. This. I know that white glue does not stick well to styrofoam, but I'm going to see if I can just get it to stick well enough just to hold this paper on there. I just kind of decoupage this on there. Let's just see if that'll work or not. I think it will. I'm willing it to work. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to cover the styrofoam and not do that. Okay, I think that just about does it. I'm going to set this aside to dry. I may do a couple more of those because I kind of like the way that looked. Okay. Now, maybe while all this glue is drying, I'll try to assemble something else. Should we do that? Let's see. Move this out of the way. I'm having an idea. I'm not really sure that I want to go there though. Yeah. Alright, let's flush it out. Let's see what happens. 3. Okay, I'm going to get me just a few of these. And I always kind of, you know, feel them to see if they're the same size, because depending on how long the tube was and how tight you wrapped it, they can vary a little bit. But I'm thinking, what if I, like, glued those together? I don't even know that I need to glue them. Got some needle and some thread, and then just dangle one of these in the middle of each one. What do we think? Well, we don't know, do we? Because we have to try it. We have to have the needle and thread. Fine. Okay, I'll go get it. Okay, let's try this. Went upstairs and got my needle box, and I have a lot of, these are like needles that doll makers use, and upholstery needles, an assortment of interesting needles. This one is doing what I want. This is a very thick, heavy needle with a very sharp point. You can use a pokey tool or an awl. I've used a Dremel before, but they were on thicker papers. Just whatever it takes to poke your hole through. This is poking through just fine. And what I'm doing is just poking a hole. Well, let me show you. Find a good spot. Okay, let's do it this way. Right there, that's about in the middle. Hold it steady and just poke it through. This is a good sharp needle, so it goes through really easily. Line it up on top, and then poke it through. So now I've got a hole, top and bottom. I'm going to do this in all 5. You just use whatever method you're comfortable with. It's easiest for you. But clearly you don't need any fancy tools or skills to do this. Okay, now I've got holes. Now I'm going to get a little bit smaller needle, just a tapestry needle. Oh, I'm going to need holes in here too, but just one. That's thicker. I may have to get my Dremel after that. Let's see if I can do it in here without making too big of a mess so that you can see. Okay, yeah, Dremel, way to go. Much easier than trying to cram that needle through there for these thicker circles. What I did, I just put this teeny little bit in my Dremel. I don't know what size that is. It's not even a Dremel bit, it's a regular drill bit, but you know, little. Eyeball it, it's fine. Piece of scrap wood so I don't drill through my thingy. And you don't even need, this is a 5-speed thing I've had forever. You don't even need to turn it up very high. If you do, your paper might catch fire before you get all the way through it. So just keep it low and slow. And, well, on would be good. There we go. Kind of eyeball it to make sure you get straight. And there you go. Easy peasy. Alright, we needed, what, 5 of these? I've got 2. What I did have to do on these before I started drilling is go through and glue that little inside tail down, which is not something I normally do when I curl them up, but it was causing the drill some problems. It kept pulling away and the bit wouldn't go through it. So I just glued it down like that, let it dry real good. Okay, next one. There we go. One more. There you are. Yeah, that's really not a project to be done inside the house, but paper just creates a lot of fine dust that I can vacuum up easily, so I'm not worried about it. I wouldn't be drilling wood inside the house, you know, unless it was cold outside or something, then I might. So, for these, let's just make a knot down here, kind of a big knot. Come up through the bottom. Up through this one. That. Oops. And come up to the top. If these get kind of misshapen while you're messing with them, yeah, don't worry about it. You can kind of squeeze them back into shape once you're through fiddling with them. So there we go, and there's a thing in the middle. Which, you know, to truly swing freely, I'd probably have to knot above and below it. What is that? Oh. But I'm not going to go through that. This is, you know, it's a cheesy ornament. Ooh, but you know what I should do? These need to be varnished. They need to be sealed. If I seal it with the string in there, everything's going to get glued down tight. I need to varnish it before I assemble it. Yes, I do. See, we just figured this out as we go. That's alright. And I'm not going to do the glue on these. I'm going to go straight to varnish and show you that. Which means I need some foil is handy, so I'm using foil. Okay. When I varnish these, and I varnish pretty much all of them, like I said, sometimes I'll seal them up with glue first, sometimes I won't, but they do all get varnished. And I use, it's open so I can't tilt it much, polyacrylic, Minwax water-based polyacrylic and clear gloss. And I use this because that guy over at, you know, RealisticArt, I can't remember his name, I'll put his link down below, but he makes the most fabulous watercolored paper jewelry, and he uses polyacrylic, and he usually dilutes it, so you know, I do what he does so that I can be as awesome as he is. He dilutes it when he does a lot of his paper jewelry because this helps the varnish to soak down into the fibers of the paper, whereas if you use it full strength, it tends to kind of lay on top. Okay, brilliant, right? Brilliant. Who knew? So I do what he does. He has a fancy little, you know, needle tip applicator that he uses. I don't have that. I have a ramekin from my kitchen cabinet. And a really, really sad brush. But what I'm going to do is just give all these a generous coat of varnish inside and out. And then I'm going to let this varnish dry. And after it's dry, I'm going to pop it in the oven. You know, I've been preheating my oven back there. Pop it in the oven at about 200 degrees for just a few minutes, like, you know, 10, 15 minutes maybe. Like everything else, when you smell the burning smell, they're done. Oh, don't do that. It just takes, you know, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You don't want them browned. You just want them heated through. So 200 degrees for 10 or so minutes. Take them out, let them cool, and I'll tell you what, they become super hard. Then if you want an extra glossy finish on it, you can go over them with another coat of undiluted gloss varnish. But for my purposes, I think this is fine. Now, I'm going to let these dry, and while I've got this out, I'm going to go ahead and... Okay, y'all remember these? Let's go ahead and varnish these babies up. Now I'm going to let these dry, then I'm going to pop them in the oven for about 10 minutes, take them out, let them cool, then we will put them together, see what we got. So I'll be back.